Today I'm going to do a recap of the 2 craft shows I've done, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a really simple granny square purse. I'm going to use 2 different colors. I'm going to use like a really dark brown and more of a tan color, so it's more of a neutral kind of purse, but yeah, I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, so to get started, you're going to need whatever hook you use for that size yarn. I use a 5mm, and you're just going to create a magic ring. So I wrap it over one finger. Some people do too. It just depends on the project I'm doing, and you create an X. And you want to put your hook underneath the first loop and grab the second loop and twist like that, and grab your working string and pull through, and it's going to create this little circle that you can work into, and you're going to chain 1. So now you have like 2 chains right there, and you're going to put 3 double crochets, and after your 3 double crochets you're going to chain 1. But for the first section, you only do 2 double crochets, and that counts as 3. So you chain 1 and then you do 3 more double crochets. Chain 1, 3 double crochets, and you're going to want 4 sections so it can be a square. You chain 1, and then you're going to tighten the loop, and you're going to slip stitch into that second chain that you started with. You slip stitch, and then you're going to chain 2 again, and I work in the same corner that you start in, so you're just going to put 2 more double crochets into that same hole, and then you're going to put 3 double crochets into the next one, into the chain 1 space, and you're going to chain 1 again and work 3 more double crochets. You chain 1, 3 double crochets, and each corner you put 6 double crochets with a chain 1 in between 3. So you have a corner coming out of each. And then in the last spot you put 3 double crochets, so one you started in, and you're going to chain 1, and and then you're going to slip into that second stitch again. You can chain chain 2 or 3, it's up to you. I usually do 2 because I feel like it has more of a seamless corner and there's not a bump there. But it just depends on what you prefer. You chain 2 again, and then you're gonna do 2 double crochet in the corner, 3 double crochet in this middle space in between these sets, but you make a corner. In each corner you do a chain 1 space in between the 6, and you keep going in these middle spots. As the rows get larger, there's going to be 2 and then 3 spots you go into, and you can do this however many times, however big you want the square. I go and I do 5 rows. So it's totally my fault. I didn't realize I was recording and my phone was not focused at all. But I showed you guys how to do an invisible join, and I already talked about all this, but I just kind of wanted to talk about these craft shows that I've been doing. It's not that, it's not that they've been terrible. It's just I haven't been doing exactly like what I was expecting I would do. I thought they were going to go so well and I was going to sell out and I was going to make, all the money back that I spent on everything, and that's not always the case. Stuff always goes a little bit differently than you expect it to, and you can't let it get your hopes, you can't let it crush everything. You gotta keep going, you gotta keep trying. It's just really hard when, you can't find the craft shows or you don't know exactly where to look. So that's what I've been trying to do, is just trying to find different ones in different parts of town and different parts of my state. And it's just hard because you don't want to spend a ton of money on a craft show when you haven't been making very good money at them. I've only made 3 sales at each, so 6 altogether. And it's okay, it's just been hard to keep going when you haven't seen much progress, but you have to keep going because you never know what's gonna happen, and you just have to keep your hopes up because at some point something's gonna crack. It's gonna get a little bit better and you're gonna be able to see the progress and see that everything's gonna be all right. But if you guys have any suggestions on what kind of videos I should make or what kind of stuff I should make, I've been trying to make a big variety of everything. I've been making purses and wallets and a bunch of stuffed animals. I've been trying to make everything you can think of, basically. But I just don't know what sells best and what people are most interested in, but I love doing this. And I've been trying to paint some more because I love painting. I love basically all art. I always have, and I've always wanted to do something like this. So I'm just trying to keep going and trying to keep pushing because I know everything will be okay at some point. You just can't let things discourage you. You just gotta remember that things take time, and that's okay. But sorry for this little rant. I just wanted to give you guys an update on everything I've been doing. But I will come back in a little bit and show you guys how to do that invisible join. Okay, so I realized that you could not see that. So you're going to do your last chain 1. You're going to pull your yarn a little bit, You don't want too long of a tail. I mean, you want a tail to weave in, but I don't like to leave it super long. A couple inches is good. And you'll have that little spot right there. 1 second, I'll show you better. You'll have your chain 1 space and the string coming out. And then you're going to go into the beginning chain that you made, whether it was chain 2 or chain 3. Gonna go through both loops, and then you're gonna put it back through that chain 1 loop, and that'll finish your round. And you can't tell that, you know, there's not like a crazy knot on the side. And now we can make our knot back here. I want to make it as tight as possible, and then you can weave it in to the rest of your square. And it's gonna take me probably about 2 hours, 3 hours to make all my squares, so I might come back tomorrow to show you guys everything, how to put the rest of it together. But that's how you make your granny squares. Hi everyone, so I'm back to show you guys how you're going to put these squares together. It's just a simple slip stitch. I try to line up the squares as nicely as you can, maybe stretch them out a little bit. Sorry, I just want to make sure that's the right amount of rows. And then you pick the color that you're going to use to connect them all. You are going to be able to see it a little bit, so make sure you know it's the color you want to be seen. And you're going to go and you're going to find the 1 space in between the cluster and the corners, and you're going to go in the back loop only, and then you're going to go into the back loop of the 1 chain, or the chain 1 in the other square. Then you're going to grab your working yarn, and you're going to leave a little bit of a tail to sew in. You're going to pull up through both loops, and then you're going to chain 1, and then you tighten it from the bottom with the not working yarn, just the tail, and make sure you keep pretty tight on the loop. And then you go into the 2nd stitch and keep your yarn underneath and go into the 2nd stitch on the other one, and pull your loop through your working yarn, and then you slip stitch, and you do this all the way to the end. Just go into the back loops and you pull up 1 loop and you slip stitch through it. You're going to do that all the way to the end. This is an example of what the purse will look like when it's done. You're going to have 2 squares on the top, 2 squares on the side, 2 squares on the bottom, and then 1 in the middle. So you need 13 altogether. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like when it's all connected. You're going to have your corner ones that are folded. And so right here I'm going to make up like a pocket or a patch. You can do different colors so that it lays out differently, but the one side is kind of like a checkered side, and then over here I'm going to put a pocket that's going to be the light brown color. I just only have a little bit of the light brown left, but it should be just enough for a pocket here. And then you just are going to take your edges here and you're gonna connect your straps. So you can make, I do like a chain and I connect it on this side and then I'll connect on that side, and I'll let you know how many chains I do. But basically you just go into the chain, like you go into one of the trebles on the edge, so you can have 3 lengths that your strap is connected to. sorry, something fell, but in the trebles on the edge, and then you're going to go into the chain one space, and you're going to do 2 rows of single crochet on top of each other to make your straps. And I can show you now. Here, I will show you how you'll do that. So you're going to find the one right next to the chain one space. Gonna leave a little bit of a tail to sew in. Then you just chain one, and you can create your chain however long you like it, and you'll connect it on the other edge on the opposite side, and then I'll show you how to continue your single crochets after I finish my chain. So after you create your chain, you just make sure it's long enough. You don't want it to be super long for this kind of purse, because I don't prefer this to be a crossbody, but it's up to you. And you're just going to take and connect into the next one before the next chain one space. So like in the third treble, and you create a slip stitch. And so I know this is bending the rules of crochet a little bit, but you're just going to flip your bag over, and you're going to slip stitch into the next chain one space for the next treble. Sometimes it's hard to get your hook in there. But you create a slip stitch right there, and then you're going to go into your chain and just start working single crochets into your chain. And you do this all the way across, and then you're going to slip stitch into the other side in the middle stitch, and do it one more time. You'll slip stitch into the next stitch and single crochet all the way across to create the strap. And you'll do this on both sides of the bag, but I will show you when I go to start the next row of single crochets. After you finish your strap, the one side, you're going to connect into the next single crochet and slip stitch right here, and then you'll slip stitch into the next treble, or double it. I'm sorry if I keep calling it a treble. Then you're going to flip your bag over again, and you'll just work into the next side of the strap. Work all the way down so you get to the other end, and you slip stitch again. That's how you do the straps. So once you complete your straps, it's gonna look like this. Sorry, my lighting keeps changing. There's been a lot of stuff happening right now, but I made an extra square. So your straps, you know, all done. Make sure you weave in your ends. And you can do a row of single crochet around the border here. I just didn't this time. I think it looks good without it. And you can make an extra square to put like a pocket right here. So I'm just gonna sew it on really quickly, and I'll come back to show you the finished product. Alright, so if you put a pocket on there, this is what it's gonna look like. And this is the finished product. Takes about an hour or two, depending how long it takes you to crochet, but I really like how they come out, and they're decent sizes depending on like how thick the yarn is. But I really like how they come out, and they're pretty simple, but yeah, thank you guys for watching.